Hello everyone and welcome back to Dozy Rosie Studios. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this very cute, understated, subtle cream egg Easter treat box. Now these boxes can hold 4 cream eggs. Not that they lasted that much longer after I finished this tutorial, but they do make a really pretty box to gift a small Easter treat out to friends and family. So stay tuned and let's get into the tutorial. To start off with, you will need a piece of pattern paper that is 12 by 6 inches, so you can get 2 of these boxes out of 1 piece of DSP. Now starting on the long side, you want to score it at 1.5 inches, 5 1/4, 6 3/4, and 10.5 inches. On the short side, you are scoring at 1.5 and 4.5. And as usual, we are going to fold and burnish on all the score lines. Now this is going to be a flip top box. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut up all the score lines and wedge into all of the squared pieces. So we're leaving the long rectangle pieces intact, but every single square piece is going to have wedges on either side. That will help us with a nice crisp close to our box. And it should look something like this. Very simple, very easy. Now using your adhesive of choice, your adhesive is going on those square tabs that we have just created and only on those on all 6 panels. Now this is where you're going to decide which is your bottom and top of the box. So if you've got a patterned paper that isn't quite repetitive like mine is, mine doesn't really matter which is the top and the bottom because it is the exact same. For the bottom of the box, you want 4 tabs on the bottom and only 2 on the top because that will be your lid. So if you've got a more prominent pattern in parts of your paper, I would choose that for your lid and only stick down 2 of the tabs to that. You can see how I'm doing this in the video. I'm carefully lining up that score line with my cut edge. And as you can see, I just made an error there, but because I am using a dry adhesive, I was able to just move it very quick, although that would have been easier with liquid glue. And there's your basic box. So for the decoration, I'm choosing the large floral stamp from the Enduring Beauty stamp set. You can of course choose any stamp set that you want, any pattern that you like, or any sentiment that you like. I wasn't putting any sentiments onto my box, I just wanted the big floral piece to pop against the box. Probably should have chosen a bigger block, but I'm working with what I've got here. So we're going to be doing some embossing on this one. So I am choosing a white embossing powder. So you want your Versamark ink and ink your stamp up well. So this piece of card that I've got that's going to go on the top is 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And because we are using embossing powder, I need something to catch it on so that I can put it all back into the pot. So I've got a scrap piece of paper underneath my card. If you've never used Versamark or embossing before, the Versamark ink is very, very sticky because the powder obviously needs to stick to it. It will dry eventually, but you still need to work quite fast, but it will stay wet a little bit longer so that you have a little bit of time to work with the product. So because this is quite a large stamp that I'm using, I'm obviously not bothered if parts of it go off the card, but I'm just going to angle it so that I can get as much of the flowers as possible onto the card. And voila! Now on my original project, this is where I left it, I believe. Either that or I used transparent powder instead of the white. It's entirely up to you. You can even use a different colour, a contrasting colour, whatever you fancy. But because my patterned paper has white in it, as you can see from the box off to the side, I thought it'd be great to use the white embossing powder. So sprinkle that on quite a lot. You'll see that I start dabbing the powder in and out of the excess powder that I pour onto the paper, and that's because there were some small parts that I'd missed when I was pouring it on. So you want to flick it well, because as soon as you start heating it, that is where it's going to stick. And then we're just going to pour that excess back into the pot. This pot will last almost forever. Not quite, but almost forever. And then with your heating tool, I'm just heating it up on my hand a little bit just to make sure that it's getting warm. And then I'm going to heat up my embossed image. You'll know that it's working because your powder will start to go a very glossy colour. And the trick is to not hold the heat in one place for a large length of time. I want to try and minimise the warping of my paper because it is quite a small piece of card that we are working on. I didn't want to warp it. Not that it'd matter too much because I'm using dimensionals to put it on, but I wanted to mitigate it as much as possible. Now I am rotating because obviously it was getting quite hot where I was holding it. It would be a lot easier if you had some crafting tweezers or even a heat protectant glove just to help your hand there, especially with it being a small area. So that's all done for me. That is all glossy and it is all now heat embossed. Just look at how gorgeous that is. So simple yet so elegant, especially the white against the pink. And now for the finishing touches, which is always my favourite part. So I'm taking some ribbon. So this is just white ribbon that looks really nice against the box. It gives it that very, very, very small pop that it needs. So there is not, I know it's not fully pink, but it just gives it a little bit of extra oomph. And don't forget to put your treats in, like I almost did. So here are my 4 cream eggs that very quickly came back out of that box, and I don't think they lasted longer than a couple of days, I'm ashamed to say, but they were very, very nice. I hadn't had a cream egg in a long, long time, and they were just fabulous. And then wrapping the bow around the side and putting the knot and the bow at the side so that the embossed card that we have just done will stay on the top. I do think I forgot to say at the beginning, but this is heavily inspired by a project that Sam from Pootles did a couple of years ago. I will link her original project in the description bar below if you want to go and watch that. But I'm just bringing it up to date with more recent papers. And then to finish this off, I am just putting the embossed card on top, and I am sticking this on with dimensionals, 1 in each corner. And there we have it, an absolutely gorgeous Easter treat box that fits 4 Cadbury's cream eggs. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and leave me a comment if you try it. See you on the next